My jealous sister-in-law stole the housewarming gift everyone gave me and lied it was broken, until I found it in her home. And my next move left her shocked. Maybe true power isn't revenge but choosing to rebuild with honesty. Now I want to ask you, in the end, am I the asshole? Or not? I'm 29, female, and after years of saving every bonus, skipping every unnecessary splurge, and sacrificing more than a few vacations, I finally bought my first home. It wasn't massive, but it was mine, a cozy 2-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood that smelled like jasmine in the mornings and bonfires in the evenings. Once I moved in and got the basics sorted, I decided to host a small housewarming. Nothing fancy, just immediate family, food, and the kind of gathering where you don't need to impress anyone. My relationship with family has always been functional. My parents are supportive in the traditional sense. My cousins are fun in small doses, and my brother and his wife, well, let's just say we're polite. My brother Nathan is 3 years older than me, and his wife Amelia has always kept a calm face with slightly sharp edges. We've never fought, never argued, never said anything directly rude, but every word she speaks feels like it's carrying a second meaning underneath. If I wore a red dress, she'd compliment the bold choice. If I got a promotion, she'd hope it wasn't too stressful, that kind of energy. A few weeks before the housewarming, the family decided to pool money for a group gift, instead of everyone bringing separate ones. My cousin suggested it in the group chat, and everyone seemed to agree quickly. It made sense, it avoids duplicates and lets us get something meaningful. I chimed in with an idea, a custom handmade ceramic dining set made by a local artisan. I'd admired the pieces for years, simple, unique, and the kind of thing you can't buy at a chain store. Most of the responses were positive. My aunt gave it a thumbs up. My cousin replied, "Love that." But Amelia responded with a comment about it being a bit overly niche for a dining set. I didn't say anything back. My mom messaged me privately and said she thought it was a beautiful idea. Eventually, the group agreed, and I was told it had been ordered. The price was around $500, split among 8 people. Not cheap, but not extravagant either for something handmade. The day of the housewarming came. I spent the whole morning setting up, making baked ziti, garlic bread, some finger foods, and chilling wine in the fridge. People started showing up around 3 p.m. My parents brought a nice bottle of red. My cousin walked in with a potted fiddle leaf fig. I was waiting for someone to bring in the ceramic set box, expecting it would be a big moment, something I could unwrap and instantly place on my shelves, but no one brought it. I asked casually if the delivery was delayed. That's when Amelia, sipping lemonade on the patio, said the artist had messed up the delivery schedule. She smiled and added it would probably arrive midweek or so. I nodded, said that was fine, and moved on. I didn't want to ruin the energy, and honestly, I believed her. She sounded confident, and everyone else seemed unaware. 3 days later, I was on a call with my mother. We were chatting about the leftover food, how she loved the ziti, and during that call she said something that made my stomach tighten. She mentioned she hoped I'd already received the dishes from Nathan's place. I paused, asked what she meant. She tried to backpedal, but it was too late. I hung up and called my brother directly. No answer. I texted both him and Amelia asking where the ceramics were. Amelia responded a few hours later. According to her, the set had arrived at their place a week before the party, but had been damaged in transit. She said the dishes were cracked, and since they didn't want to give me something broken, they just threw them away. No pictures, no offer to return them to the artist, no telling me beforehand, just tossed. I stared at the screen for a long time. That set wasn't just plates and bowls. It was something I'd chosen, something tied to my new start, my space, my taste, and they trashed it like it was a shipping error from a discount store. I didn't reply. I didn't yell, call, or accuse. I didn't beg for an explanation or try to make them see my side. I just went quiet. But something shifted. It wasn't rage, it was focus. I knew right then this wasn't over. I wasn't going to scream or throw anything back. I wasn't going to make a scene. I was going to make it count. They didn't just throw away a gift, they threw away my trust. And whether they realized it or not, they had started something they weren't ready to finish. A few days after the housewarming, I sent a message to the ceramic artist who made the set I had suggested for the group gift. I used a different email and didn't mention any names, just asked if an order under my brother's name had been placed and delivered recently. The reply came fast. The artist confirmed the set had been completed and delivered exactly as scheduled. Along with the email, she attached a picture of the intact dishes sitting neatly on a front porch. No cracks, no chips, no visible damage at all. I saved the picture and the order confirmation in a private folder. I didn't respond to the artist. I didn't bring it up in the family chat either. Instead, I started watching quietly. I didn't need to yell or accuse anyone. I just needed to wait. A week later, I was chatting casually with a mutual acquaintance, someone who had been close to both my brother and Amelia. I asked if they had been over for dinner recently. They said yes and started talking about how well decorated Amelia's place was. Midway through, they mentioned how lovely the custom dinner plates were. That caught my attention. That night, I checked Amelia's social media. Sure enough, she had posted a series of pictures from a dinner party she'd hosted a few days after my housewarming. In one photo, barely noticeable, the dinner plates matched the ones I'd chosen. Same soft cream glaze, same hand-painted borders, same set the artist showed on the porch. I zoomed in, screenshotted everything, and added it to the folder. I didn't say anything, but something was shifting. My brother became slower to respond to messages. Amelia stopped reacting in the group chat unless it was something she started. Then came the message that sealed it. She posted a sarcastic line in the family group chat. Some people really think a plate makes a personality. Nobody responded, not even my brother. That weekend we had a family dinner at my parents' place. I brought a small gift for my cousin, just a single ceramic bowl from the same artist, simple but elegant. I wrapped it nicely and handed it to her as a late thank you for helping me during the move. She loved it and placed it on the counter where everyone could see. Amelia noticed. She walked past it twice without acknowledging it. During dinner she barely looked at me. My brother stayed quiet, poking at his food and keeping his eyes low. No one mentioned the bowl, but no one had to. Later that night, I sat down and made a plan. Their baby shower was in a few weeks. Amelia had been talking about it nonstop in the family chat, dropping hints about her registry and decorating theme. I had already RSVP'd yes, but now I knew exactly what I was going to bring, and it wasn't from any registry. I emailed the ceramic artist again, this time from my actual account. I asked if she could make a baby-themed wall art piece, big, decorative, and impossible to ignore. I gave her the design idea and one specific inscription I wanted included, subtly carved into the base of the piece. For the home that throws away what it doesn't understand. May this stay with you forever. The artist replied that it was bold but doable. We went over sketches. I picked one that was just the right balance of sentiment. It would look charming to most eyes, but anyone who knew the backstory would see it clearly for what it was. While the artist started working on the piece, I continued gathering small details. I asked my aunt what kind of decor the baby shower would have. She said Amelia was going for a soft woodland theme. I smiled and told her I was so excited to attend. I offered to bring extra chairs if needed. A week before the event, I wrapped the finished ceramic piece in a large box with layers of tissue and a wide white ribbon. It looked beautiful, harmless, the kind of gift people take pictures of for Instagram. I RSVP'd again to the baby shower just to make sure I was on the list. Amelia sent back a cheerful response, not suspecting a thing. My brother didn't message me at all. I marked the date in my calendar and prepared myself to walk in, smile, and hand over a gift they'd never be able to trash without everyone asking questions. They thought they could erase a gift and I'd just move on. But I wasn't just giving them something this time. I was giving them a message, one they'd have to look at every day, one they couldn't return, couldn't explain away, and definitely couldn't throw out without raising eyebrows. They had no idea what was coming. The baby shower was held at a rented hall decorated with soft blues, white balloons, and wooden animal centerpieces. It looked like something straight off a Pinterest board. The tables were lined with white tablecloths, small favor bags, and a gift table that was already overflowing. I arrived just on time, wearing a light green dress and carrying a large square gift box tied with a thick cream ribbon. A few relatives noticed the size of the box and asked about it. I just smiled and placed it carefully at the far end of the table. My brother spotted me first. He nodded slightly but didn't come over. Amelia was chatting with a group of friends near the refreshment table when she noticed me. Her smile froze for a second, then returned, tight, polite, but not warm. It was clear she hadn't expected me to actually show up, let alone bring something that couldn't be tucked into a diaper bag. An hour in, they started the unwrapping. One of Amelia's friends held a mic and ran the show, calling out names and comments for each gift as Amelia opened them. There were the usual baby clothes, bottles, toys, and themed books. Laughter and clapping followed each item, even the plain ones. Mine was one of the last to be opened. The friend called my name, and someone carried the box over to Amelia. She peeled the ribbon, opened the lid, and pulled out the custom ceramic wall piece, hand-painted with woodland animals and soft pastel edges. Everyone leaned in to see. Then came the part only a few people caught, the inscription embedded in the ceramic base, for the home that throws away what it doesn't understand. May this stay with you forever. A few gasps rippled across the room. One of Amelia's friends squinted, then looked at her. My brother's expression changed instantly. He went pale, turned toward me, and didn't blink. For a few seconds, Amelia stared at the message like she couldn't place it. Then something clicked. She tried to smile, gave a stiff thank you, and quickly moved the gift to the back table. Her voice cracked slightly when she said it would look perfect in the nursery. The event ended not long after. While everyone was grabbing cupcakes and saying their goodbyes, Amelia came up to me near the hallway to the restrooms. Her tone was quiet but firm. She asked if I had intentionally tried to embarrass her. I didn't raise my voice or react. I told her that the gift came from the same ceramic artist she and my brother said had delivered broken plates. I wished her well, turned, and walked straight out. That night in the family group chat, my brother posted a vague message. Thanks to everyone who kept the event warm and normal. Not everyone needs to make things about themselves. Nobody replied. Not one person reacted or sent an emoji. The next day, my mother called. She asked what had happened because she'd heard whispers and didn't understand the tension. I told her everything from start to finish. Then I forwarded her the emails and photos from the ceramic artist, pictures of the original set delivered to my brother's porch, perfectly intact. She didn't respond for a minute. Then she said, "Okay," and hung up. That was it. Later that week, Amelia sent out invites for a small follow-up lunch she was hosting. But my mother didn't go. Neither did one of my aunts. No one explained why, but I noticed two of my cousins texted me the same day. One just wrote, "That was iconic." The other sent a string of clapping emojis and said, "She had that coming for years." I didn't respond to either, but I smiled and added those screenshots to the same folder as everything else. The wall piece wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about making something visible. They had tried to bury my original gift, hide it, erase it, but this one was big. This one had a message they couldn't rewrite, couldn't downplay, and couldn't dispose of without everyone noticing. And still, I wasn't finished. I already had a new idea forming, something they couldn't spin, couldn't misinterpret, and definitely couldn't deny because the truth wasn't just coming out anymore. It was going on display. A week after the baby shower, the ceramic artist sent me an email. She wanted to give me a heads up. Apparently, Amelia had contacted her directly. The artist seemed concerned, explaining that Amelia had emailed her, claiming to be me, asking about purchasing another identical set to replace the first one. The artist found it odd since I'd already received confirmation about the original order, and she wasn't quite sure why the duplicate request was coming through. She attached screenshots of Amelia's email. I read through it twice. Amelia had used my full name, said there was a misunderstanding about the broken set, and asked if another could be made quickly to make things right. It was desperation wrapped in deceit. She was trying to erase what she'd done before anyone else found out. I thanked the artist for her transparency and asked her not to respond to Amelia just yet. I needed to think. That evening, as I watered the plants on my porch, the one that should have held dinner parties with those ceramic dishes, I realized what I had to do. This wasn't just about plates anymore. It was about patterns. I made a decision and called my parents. I asked if they could host a family dinner that weekend, something casual, nothing fancy. My father, always fond of bringing everyone together, agreed immediately. My mother, however, hesitated slightly. I could hear the concern in her voice. Will Nathan and Amelia be there? That's the idea, I replied. And are you going to address things? She asked carefully. I kept my voice light. I'm just going to have dinner, Mom, she sighed. All right, I'll send out the invites. That night, I emailed the ceramic artist back. I explained the situation in full. How the original set had been kept by my brother and his wife, how they had lied about it being broken, and how Amelia was now trying to cover her tracks. I asked if she would be willing to help me with one final piece of this puzzle. The artist replied by morning. She was in. Over the next few days, my parents' house became the center of family texting. Who was bringing what time to arrive, small talk disguising the obvious tension. Nathan confirmed they would attend but mentioned they might leave early due to pregnancy tiredness. Amelia didn't comment at all. I spent the days before the dinner preparing. I printed out all the evidence I had gathered, the original confirmation email, the picture of the intact dishes on their porch, screenshots of Amelia's dinner party photos showing the dishes, and lastly, Amelia's desperate email to the artist trying to secure replacements. I placed everything in a simple manila folder and tucked it into my bag. The day of the dinner arrived, warm and clear. I drove to my parents' house early to help set up. My mother was arranging flowers on the dining table when I walked in. Did you bring anything? She asked, not looking up from her arrangement. Just myself, I said, setting my bag on a chair. She glanced at me. That's not entirely true, is it? I paused. No, not entirely. She nodded slowly. Whatever happens tonight, just remember they're expecting a baby. That child didn't do anything wrong. I know that, Mom, I said. Trust me. She squeezed my hand and went back to her flowers. People began arriving around 6 p.m. My aunt brought a casserole. My cousin carried in dessert. Simple, normal family dinner things. Nathan and Amelia arrived last, just as everyone was gathering around the table. Amelia's pregnancy was now more visible, her belly curved beneath a loose-fitting dress. Nathan kept one hand on her back as they walked in, his eyes darting around nervously. No one mentioned the baby shower or the ceramic wall piece with its damning inscription. Conversation stayed deliberately light, weather, traffic, my cousin's new job. But underneath it all was a current, an awareness. Something was coming. After the main course, as my mother started clearing plates for dessert, I excused myself to retrieve something from my bag. When I returned, I was carrying a box, smaller than the baby shower gift but similarly wrapped with a delicate ribbon. What's that? My aunt asked, gesturing to the package. Just a little something, I said, placing it in the center of the table. For Nathan and Amelia. The room went quiet. Amelia stared at the box like it might contain something alive and dangerous. Nathan's face had gone a shade paler. Open it, I said, keeping my voice soft. Please. Nathan reached for it first, pulling the ribbon slowly, like he was disarming something explosive. Amelia sat frozen beside him, her hands gripping the edge of the table. Inside was a single ceramic plate, not from the original dining set but custom-made by the same artist. In the center was a beautifully painted rendering of my new house, the porch, the jasmine, the front door. Below it, inscribed in the same lettering as the baby shower gift, were the words, "The truth makes a better foundation than lies." Nathan exhaled slowly. Amelia's eyes filled with tears. There's something else, I said, reaching for my bag and pulling out the manila folder. I think we should all be clear about what happened. I laid out the evidence piece by piece, the artist's confirmation of delivery, the photograph of the intact dishes on their porch, the screenshots from Amelia's social media showing the dishes at her dinner party, and finally, Amelia's email attempting to secretly replace what she'd stolen. No one spoke as I arranged these items on the table. My cousin stared wide-eyed. My aunt made a small noise of disbelief. My parents remained perfectly still, as if they'd known this moment was inevitable. When I finished, I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke for itself. A clear timeline of theft, deception, and desperate cover-up attempts. Nathan broke first. We made a mistake, he said, his voice barely audible. We never thought it would become this. Amelia remained silent, tears now streaming down her face. Why? My mother asked finally. Why would you do this? Amelia looked up, her face flushed. It was stupid, she whispered. So stupid. When the set arrived, I loved it. It matched our dining room perfectly, and I'd been wanting something like that for so long. She broke off, realizing how hollow her justification sounded. So, you just took it, I said, not a question, but a statement. Something that 8 people paid for. Something specifically chosen for me and my new home. I didn't think you'd care that much, Amelia said, her voice hardening slightly. It's just dishes. The room went absolutely silent. If they're just dishes, my father said slowly, then you can return them tonight. Nathan nodded quickly. Of course we will. We'll bring them over first thing tomorrow. No, I said. Keep them. Everyone turned to look at me. Keep them? My cousin echoed, confused. I nodded. Yes, keep them. Use them every day. And every time you do, I want you to remember that they represent something stolen, something you took from someone who was supposed to be family. I stood up, gathering the evidence back into the folder. But that's not all you're going to do, I continued. You're going to tell everyone the truth. Not just our family here, but everyone who was at that baby shower. Everyone who saw that wall piece with its message and wondered what it meant. You're going to own what you did. Amelia started to protest, but Nathan placed a hand on her arm. We will, he said quietly. We'll make it right. I nodded, then turned to address everyone at the table. I didn't do this to punish them or to create drama. I did it because family should be built on honesty, not convenience. If we can't trust each other with something as simple as a housewarming gift, how can we trust each other with the things that really matter? I picked up the ceramic plate with my house painted on it. This is for all of us. A reminder that we're building something together. A family, a legacy, and it needs to stand on truth. The dinner ended shortly after. Nathan and Amelia left first, walking out with lowered heads and mumbled goodbyes. My aunt hugged me tightly at the door. My cousins lingered, asking if I was okay, offering support in hushed voices. My parents said nothing, but my mother's eyes held a mixture of sadness and pride. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a notification. Amelia had posted something in the family group chat. It was a long message starting with, I owe everyone an apology. She detailed everything, taking the ceramic set, lying about it being broken, using it in her own home, trying to secretly replace it. She ended with a direct apology to me and an offer to make amends however I saw fit. Nathan followed with his own message, shorter but equally contrite. He had enabled the deception, he admitted, and was equally responsible. He promised to do better, to be more honest, to rebuild the trust that had been broken. Responses trickled in throughout the day. Most family members expressed shock, disappointment, but also appreciation for the honesty. My mother simply wrote, "This is how we heal." I didn't respond immediately. I needed time to process, to decide how I wanted to move forward. This wasn't about forgiveness or punishment anymore. It was about establishing boundaries, about requiring respect. A week passed. I focused on my home, on making it mine in ways that had nothing to do with ceramic dishes or family approval. I hung art on the walls, planted herbs in the kitchen window, invited friends over for casual weeknight dinners. I was building my life piece by piece. Then one evening my doorbell rang. Nathan stood on my porch alone, holding a large box. His expression was solemn, uncertain. "Can I come in?" he asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. He followed me to the kitchen and set the box on the counter. "It's not the same set," he said as I eyed the package. "I wouldn't insult you by trying to replace something that can't be replaced, but it's a start." I opened the box carefully. Inside was a ceramic serving platter, clearly by the same artist but with a different design. It was beautiful, earthy tones with delicate blue accents that would complement my kitchen perfectly. "Amelia wanted to come," he said, watching my face. "But we thought it might be better if I came alone first to talk." I motioned for him to sit at the kitchen table. "So, talk." He took a deep breath. "We've been seeing a therapist. Amelia's idea, actually. We're trying to understand why we did what we did, and it's not just about the dishes." I didn't respond, just waited for him to continue. "Amelia has always felt less than around you specifically. Your career, your independence, your new house." She struggled with feeling like she's constantly being compared to you and coming up short. "It doesn't excuse what she did, what we did, but it helps explain it. She could have just talked to me," I said, "instead of whatever this was." Nathan nodded. "I know. That's part of what we're working through, why it's easier for us to be passive-aggressive or dishonest instead of just having the hard conversations." He paused, then added, "The baby is a girl. We found out last week." I felt a small pull in my chest. My niece, coming into a world of complicated family dynamics and ceramic-based grudges. "What are you going to tell her?" I asked, "when she's old enough to understand what that wall piece in her nursery means?" Nathan looked down at his hands. "We're going to tell her the truth, that her parents made a mistake, that they lied and took something that wasn't theirs, and that her aunt was brave enough to hold them accountable." He looked up, meeting my eyes. "We're going to tell her that family isn't perfect, but it can be honest, and that's the foundation we want for her." Something shifted inside me. Not forgiveness exactly, but possibility. The possibility that something good could grow from this mess. "I'd like to know her," I said finally. "Your daughter. I'd like to be in her life." Nathan's eyes widened slightly. "We'd like that too. Very much." When he left, I placed the new serving platter on my open kitchen shelf. Not hidden away, but not central either. A reminder, but not the focus. That night, I messaged the family group chat. I thanked Amelia and Nathan for their apologies and said I was ready to move forward. I suggested a fresh start, perhaps a small gathering at my place in a few weeks. Nothing fancy, just family. Amelia responded almost immediately with a simple, "We would love that." My mother added a heart emoji. My cousins chimed in with dates they were available. My aunt offered to bring her famous apple pie. Normal family things, rebuilding step by step. 3 weeks later, my house filled with family again. This time, there was a different energy, more careful, more intentional. Amelia arrived with a homemade dip and nervous eyes. Nathan carried a bottle of non-alcoholic sparkling cider for his pregnant wife and a sincere smile for me. As everyone settled around my living room, I brought out a tray of appetizers served on the new platter Nathan had brought. Amelia noticed immediately, her eyes flickering to it, then back to me. I gave her a small nod, acknowledgement, not quite forgiveness but something close. My mother, ever the peacemaker, raised her glass. "To new beginnings," she said. "And honest foundations," I added, lifting my own glass. Everyone drank to that, the unspoken understanding hanging in the air. We were not the same family we had been before, but perhaps we were becoming something better, something with fewer secrets and sharper truths. As the evening progressed, conversation flowed more naturally. My cousins pulled me aside to whisper how proud they were of how I'd handled everything. My aunt complimented the way I'd arranged my living room. Amelia asked hesitantly if I would like to help set up the nursery, perhaps offer some decorating advice. Small steps, careful bridges being built. Later, as guests were leaving, Amelia lingered by the door. Her hand rested protectively over her growing belly. "We're thinking of naming her Faye," she said softly. "It means fairy or belief, something magical, something honest." I smiled, my first genuine smile directed at her in months. "I like that," I said. "Faye?" She nodded, blinking back unexpected tears. "I want her to be strong like you." The words hung between us, not quite an apology, not quite praise, but something new. After everyone had gone, I sat on my porch, watching the stars emerge in the evening sky. My house smelled like jasmine and family dinner, a combination I was slowly learning to appreciate again. On my phone, a text message appeared from my brother. "Thank you for today." It meant everything. I didn't reply, but I didn't delete it either. Some messages needed to be kept, evidence of a different kind. The next morning, I woke early and made coffee. As I sipped it on the porch, watching the neighborhood come alive, I realized I felt lighter, not completely unburdened. The weight of betrayal doesn't disappear overnight, but lighter nonetheless. I opened my laptop and navigated to the ceramic artist's website. Her work was beautiful, honest, crafted with care and intention. I browsed until I found what I was looking for, a small ceramic picture frame, simple yet elegant. I ordered it, adding a note requesting a custom inscription on the back, "For Faye. May you always know your worth." It wasn't forgiveness exactly. It was an investment in my niece, in our future, in the possibility that broken things can be carefully reconstructed into something new. 2 months later, on a bright Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. Amelia stood on my porch, her pregnancy now prominently displayed. She looked nervous but determined. "I hope I'm not interrupting," she said, shifting her weight uncomfortably. "Not at all," I replied, gesturing for her to come in. "Would you like some tea?" She nodded, following me to the kitchen. I noticed her eyes scanning the room, lingering momentarily on the ceramic platter displayed on my shelf. "I wanted to talk to you," she said, accepting the mug I offered, alone, without Nathan or the rest of the family. I sat across from her, waiting. She took a deep breath. "I've spent a lot of time in therapy these past months," she began, talking about why I took your dishes, why I lied, why I've always felt this competition with you that you probably never even knew existed. She paused, sipping her tea. "The therapist helped me see that I've been jealous of you for years. Your career, your independence, the way you seem so confident in your choices. When you bought this house, something in me just snapped. I wanted to take something from you to make myself feel better about my own choices." I remained silent, allowing her the space to continue. "It's embarrassing to admit that as a grown woman, I essentially stole my sister-in-law's housewarming gift because I was jealous," she said, a bitter laugh escaping her. "But that's what happened, and I'm truly sorry, not just for taking the dishes, but for the years of backhanded comments, the subtle digs, the silent judgments." I studied her face, searching for sincerity and finding it. "Thank you for telling me," I said finally. "I always sensed something wasn't right between us, but I couldn't name it. I didn't realize you saw me that way." "That's the worst part," Amelia admitted. "You were never competing with me. You were just living your life, and I was the one making it into something ugly." She placed a hand on her belly. "I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want Faye to have a mother who measures her worth against others, who takes what isn't hers, who lies to cover her insecurities." I reached across the table and, after a moment's hesitation, placed my hand over hers. "Then she won't," I said simply, "because you're going to show her a different way." Amelia's eyes filled with tears. "I'd like us to start over, if you're willing." Not pretending this didn't happen, but moving forward with honesty, I nodded slowly. "I'd like that too." Before she left, I showed her the ceramic picture frame I'd ordered for Faye. She read the inscription and looked up at me, her expression a mixture of surprise and gratitude. "You're going to be a wonderful aunt," she said softly. "I'm going to try," I replied. "And you're going to be a good mother. Not perfect, but honest. That's what matters." After she left, I stood in my doorway for a long time, watching the jasmine sway in the gentle breeze. The scent reminded me of new beginnings, of houses becoming homes, of family rebuilding itself, dish by broken dish. That evening, I called the ceramic artist and placed one final order, a full dining set, not the same as the original, but similar in spirit. This one would be for me, for my home, for the dinner parties I would host and the memories I would create. When the artist asked if I wanted any special inscription, I thought for a moment. Yes, I said finally. Just one word, forward. 3 weeks later, Faye was born, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, with Nathan's eyes and Amelia's chin. I visited them in the hospital carrying a small gift bag containing the ceramic picture frame. Amelia, exhausted but radiant, took it with trembling hands. She read the inscription again, then passed it to Nathan, who nodded appreciatively. "It's perfect," he said, "for her first picture." I held my niece carefully, this tiny person untouched by our complicated past, our ceramic-laden drama. She yawned, her small face scrunching up momentarily before relaxing again. "Hello, Faye," I whispered. "I'm your aunt. We're going to be just fine." As I handed her back to Amelia, our eyes met. Something passed between us, not friendship exactly, not yet, but understanding. We had both changed through this strange porcelain-centered conflict. We had both become more solid, more defined. The following weekend, I hosted my first proper dinner party in my home, not family this time, but friends, people who knew nothing of stolen dishes or baby shower revenge gifts. We ate and laughed and told stories that had nothing to do with betrayal or jealousy. I served the meal on my new ceramic dishes, each one bearing that single word on its underside, forward. One friend noticed, turning a plate over curiously. "What does this mean?" she asked. I smiled, thinking of the long, strange journey that had led to this moment. "It's a reminder," I said, "that even when things break, we can choose which direction to move." Later that night, after everyone had gone, I sat on my porch with a glass of wine. My phone buzzed with a text from Amelia, a picture of Faye sleeping in her nursery, the ceramic wall piece visible in the background. Its inscription seemed different now, transformed by time and truth and tiny new life, for the home that throws away what it doesn't understand. "May this stay with you forever." What once felt like perfect revenge now felt like something else entirely, a marker of where we'd been, but not where we were going. I saved the photo, not in my evidence folder, but in a new one labeled simply Faye. Then I sent back a single heart emoji, small but sincere, a tiny ceramic piece in our newly reassembled relationship. 6 months passed. My dining set became well used, hosting friends, colleagues, even family. Nathan and Amelia came for dinner once a month, baby Faye growing chubbier and more alert with each visit. Our conversations became easier, more genuine, not perfect but honest. The original ceramic set remained at their house, a silent reminder of our shared history. Neither of us mentioned it anymore. Some things are better left as lessons than as ongoing conflicts. One evening, as I was setting the table for another gathering, my phone rang. It was the ceramic artist. "I hope you don't mind me calling," she said, "but I wanted to let you know something interesting. Amelia reached out to me last week." I tensed slightly. "Oh?" "She commissioned a piece for you," the artist continued. "A large serving bowl to match your current set. She asked me to inscribe it with something special." "What does it say?" I asked, curious despite myself. The artist's voice softened. "It says, 'Found what was broken, built what is new.' She asked me to tell you it will be delivered next week for your birthday." After we hung up, I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by ceramic dishes that had somehow, improbably, helped rebuild a family. Dishes that had been stolen, lied about, replaced, inscribed with messages both cutting and healing. I picked up one of my plates, running my finger over the familiar glaze. "Forward," I whispered to myself, smiling at the simplicity of it all. When Amelia's gift arrived the following week, I placed it in the center of my dining table. The inscription curved around its base, a perfect circle of reconciliation. Found what was broken, built what is new. That night, I sent her a message. "It's beautiful. Thank you." Her reply came quickly. "It's just dishes, but also it's not." I laughed out loud at the perfect truth of it. Dishes that were never just dishes. Family that was never just family. Homes that were never just structures. A year after the original housewarming party, I hosted another one. This time, everyone brought individual gifts. No coordinated group present. No opportunities for deception. Nathan and Amelia arrived with Faye, now walking unsteadily but determined. As everyone mingled in my living room, I noticed Amelia standing alone by my kitchen shelf, looking at the display of ceramic pieces I'd collected throughout this strange journey. The platter from Nathan, the serving bowl from her, the odd, mismatched pieces that told our complicated story. I joined her, handing her a glass of wine. "They look good together," she said quietly. "Different but complementary," I replied, "like family." She nodded, then hesitated before speaking again. "I still have your original set, the one we took." I turned to look at her. "I know. I've been thinking maybe we should return it. Now that we've moved past it, maybe it should finally be where it was meant to be." I considered this, looking around my home filled with friends and family, warm light, and shared laughter. The ceramic dishes that had caused so much drama now seemed almost trivial compared to what had been built in their absence. "Keep them," I said finally. "They're part of your story now too. But thank you for offering." She smiled, relieved. "Are you sure?" "I am," I said, completely certain. Some things aren't meant to go back to what they were. They're meant to become something different. Something better. Later that evening, as everyone gathered around my dining table set with my inscribed dishes, my mother raised her glass for a toast. To homes, she said, looking around at all of us, and to the people who make them worth coming back to. To truth, Nathan added, his arm around Amelia. To forward, I finished, lifting my glass and catching Amelia's eye across the table. She nodded slightly, understanding exactly what I meant. We had moved past broken dishes and broken trust. We had built something new, not perfect, not unmarked, but honest. And in the end, that was worth more than any ceramic set, no matter how beautiful or how carefully crafted. As the evening wound down and guests began to leave, Faye toddled over to me with something clutched in her small hand. It was a tiny ceramic button, one I recognized from the artist's collection, a sample she had included with my last order. For you, Faye said, her voice clear and sweet, offering up this small token. I accepted it carefully, this gift freely given, this tiny piece of a much larger story. Thank you, Faye. Amelia watched from across the room, a smile playing at her lips. We had come full circle, from stolen gifts to honest offerings, from broken trust to something slowly being rebuilt. That night, after everyone had gone and my house was quiet again, I placed Faye's ceramic button on my bedside table, a small reminder of big lessons that family is complicated, that honesty matters, that forward is the only direction worth moving. Outside, the jasmine continued to bloom, its scent drifting through open windows. My home smelled like flowers and possibilities, like truth and second chances, like ceramic dishes, beautiful, breakable, but also surprisingly strong when properly made. I fell asleep that night feeling at peace with my home, with my family, with the strange journey that had brought us here to this imperfect but honest place, this foundation built on truth, this forward-moving life. And all because of ceramic dishes that were never just dishes, never just objects, but vessels for something much more important, the truth. We choose to serve each other day after day, meal after meal, story after story.